Alright, next we got Dirty Deeds for free versus Tulkas. Skaven versus High Elves. Traditionally a very Skaven favored matchup, but this is certainly a spicy build. As for Tulkas, this is an okay High Elf build versus Skaven, but it's way too infantry heavy, so it would die to globes or the avalanche warders quite severely. But Dirty Deeds did not bring any globes. None whatsoever. We have a Grey Seer of Plague with Vermintide and Wither. 2 Storm Vermin Sword and Board. A whole bunch of Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats. We have 2 Doom Flayers, one of which is a Dwarf Thing Menace. We do have some Wolf Rats with Poison, 4 of them. 1 Eshin Triad and triple Night Runner. So very spicy Skaven build. On the other side we have 4 Rangers. Some Spearmen, it looks like 5 Spearmen, 2 Flamespire Phoenixes, an Archmage of Life with Dwellers Below and Earthblood. We have 2 Illyrian Reavers, and a backline of Lawler and Seaguard mixed in with Archers. Oop, there's a 3rd Illyrian Reaver. My bad. A little bit of advancing. Phoenix gonna pick off a couple little Skaven Slaves for free. Boop. So that's fun. That's nice for him. What a good time. Meanwhile, the rest of the Skaven start to close in. Doom Flayers rolling away from Archers for a little bit. Not quite ready to take on that challenge. And Wolf Rats getting ready to go fight some Illyrian Reavers. Skaven Slaves meet with the Spearman front line. Old Night Runners advance and throw their little ninja stars into these unshielded 30 armor Rangers. Doing pretty good damage to them. And a very ambitious Dwellers Below is getting cast next to these guys. But they are just going to walk out of it after the initial damage ticks a little bit on them. But not the best cast, unfortunately. Doom Flayers thinking about getting involved, but the Illyrian Reavers are riding out. And if the dogs are the ones getting charged, then the Illyrian Reavers will just decimate them. It really has to be the dogs get the charge on the Reavers if they want to do well at all. So for now, Dirty Deeds is just going to pull away. Meanwhile, the Doom Flayers charge into Spearmen and stop dead. Stop completely dead on arrival. Oh, Doom Flayers, still pretty bad. Still pretty bad. Dogs got out of here largely unscathed. One's going to tear out at literally full HP because there's a Phoenix nearby. And the Doom Flayers are going to eventually push up and through. Lawler and Seaguard holding against Wolf Rats, but the Dwarf Thing Menace is coming nearby. Meanwhile, Doom Flayers get a side charge onto Archers and still do very little damage as an Eagle dives down onto them. Dwarf Thing Menace also getting involved in here. Those dogs are soon going to rout, though, and it looks like the Doom Flayers are also going to peace out. The Eshin Skirmish component's still doing fine. It's alive and well. Flamespire Phoenix now trying to dive the Grey Seer, and it will eventually win that fight, though the Grey Seer is not completely helpless as far as combatants go. Flamespire Phoenix also chasing off 3 dogs, so the Skaven are getting a little scattered here. Something's happening. It's a Wither. It takes the Archmage of Life down to 0 armor. Ooh, that could get a little spooky. These Doom Flayers are coming back to try and peel it off. Meanwhile, the High Elves' Archers are largely uncontested. Kind of surprised they're not getting more of an advantage. As a Storm Vermin Sword and Shield are going to kill the Rangers, so they'll get through the front line. Skaven Infantry winning the front line. You don't see that every day. Eshin Triads, Dogs, Dwarf Thing Menace, everything just in here fighting. But another ambitious Dwellers Below. It looks like the Night Runners are going to just run away from it. Does a little bit of damage, but not that much. Doom Flayer still fighting the Archmage as another Wither, or the same Wither, not entirely sure, is on her. Clan Rats and Storm Vermin pushing through the front line, now just walking at Archers, daring anybody to get in their way. More Clan Rats pushing forward, and an unholy clamor is giving everybody a little bit of vigor and leadership on the Skaven end. Now, where did those Wolf Rats go? There they are. Wolf Rats coming back to the fight. They could be used to run down anything that's already routing off the map. They're very good at that. It looks like they maybe have other things in mind, considering they're still sprinting at full speed towards the fight. Never mind, now they are starting to take the fight against some of the things that are already running away. Eshin Triads and the infantry swarm of the Skaven just pushing through. Doesn't give a shit about any of these High Elf Spearmen or anything. They're after Archers. And that is probably a good choice. A Clan Rat summon comes out as the Grey Seer is going to just walk through some Spearmen real quick. Just real quick. Just a real quick walk through them. Clan Rat's getting pushed off. But these Storm Vermin, they ain't going anywhere. As the Seagull... Excuse me. Pardon me. Excuse me. Pardon me. Coming through. But Doom Flayers roll away to help some Clan Rats. And, Lon Seaguard having to go into melee to protect the lesser Archers. Wolfrat's doing a good job chasing things off the map. Nicely done. Things are looking up for the Skaven. I'm not sure how we're going to deal with the double Flamespire Phoenix overall, but we'll figure that out when we get there, I suppose. Gracier of Plague just trying to avoid the double birdies for now. And Night Runners plus Clan Rats just swarming the back line as other Night Runners will run up to try and help the Dwarf Thing Menace fight off the Phoenixes. Which actually, you can get the Phoenixes down to 0 armor with the Dwarf Thing Menace, too. Interesting. Big Dwellers below. Gonna hit the Clan Rats, gonna hit the Night Runners. That one should do better damage than the previous 2 we've seen. Though I wonder if they should have been used on Storm Vermin, but it is very hard to tell that those are Storm Vermin. They look just like Clan Rats, so honestly the Hive player might not even notice that there's 2 Storm Vermin on the map right now. So Spearmen are holding strong. Spearmen... Yeah, it's pretty much just down to Spearmen across the board, and then some Flamespire Phoenixes and such. That was odd. Oh, Concealment Bombs. Got it. Ashen Triads might be able to help out with these Phoenixes with their anti-large. We'll see. Hives fall behind in the balance of power. Archmage of Life is just trying to peace out from this Clan Rat summon. Wolf Rat's diving in to help their Greyseer, and the Greyseer's Bell does have a lot of AoE buffs. Melee attack and leadership, and then there's also Unholy Clamor that can be activated, so this combination can make Wolf Rats fighting next to a Greyseer actually pretty good. There's an Unholy Clamor, so you guys see they're up to 68 leadership, which is the most the Wolf Rat has ever thought about ever having, and they are tearing apart the Flamespire Phoenixes at this moment. Where are the Sword and Boards? Storm Vermin still fighting Spearmen. With 50 melee defense, the Spearmen are very difficult to get through, but the Storm Vermin are working on it. They are no slouches either with their own 45 melee defense, so it's more of a rock and a hard place fighting each other. Another Clan Rat summon coming out into these Spearmen while the Greyseer himself tries to help, but a rear charge from a Flamespire Phoenix might be a bad time for him. Yeah. Wolf Rat's coming back to the fight, just chasing off anything they can get to route, but it looks like now they're being committed onto this Flamespire Phoenix, who's about to have 0 armor after the Wither casts, and with 0 armor, it is going to walk through a bunch of Storm Vermin and Wolf Rats to try and get out of here, and the Greyseer just cackles up on his bell while it leaves. I love the Greyseer models, they're so cool. So, High Elf still routing. The Archmage of Life dives in here, but she walks into the Wither, which is going to bring her armor down to 0. Now she's surrounded on all sides by Storm Vermin and Night Runners, and not wonderful times. She's taking a bunch of damage, you can see there. Elsewhere, the Hives are just down to some Rangers and Birds. It's all about rebirths at this point. A little bit of fast forwarding as we get into the bump and grind. The Birds are all trying to group up. This could be a nice spot for an Earthblood if this lady isn't routed. She is not routed, so she could do that. Army losses are coming in soon, and there is Dwellers Below onto 2 Storm Vermin, though they are both desperately trying to dodge it. It looks like one will still get caught up in it, and that could be a very juicy cast, depending on how many of these units are actually in it. It's doing decent work. Bounce power still tipping. Will the Phoenixes get a rebirth, or are they just going to naturally die? Phoenix is trying to get some fire poops off, and now they will chase some dogs around while the last of the Rangers fights the pile of Skaven and dies, and the Skaven run over to finish off the Spearmen as well. High Elves rallying a bit of an enclave in the distance. Skaven rallying a very large enclave much closer to us. Yahar. Everything behind the Skaven lines is shattering. Oh wow, there's Loth and Seaguard in the corner no one knew about. And now there's not. More fire poops as Loth and Seaguard continue to fight. And the Spearmen are engaging. Loth and Seaguard in the back have been shattered. Everybody else is trying to regroup a little bit here. We do have Storm Vermin and Storm Vermin fighting Spearmen. Good for them. More fire poops, more routing. A rear charge onto the Doom Flayers, but a big Wither cast from the Greyseer. What was that? Is Wither upgraded? Minus 60 armor? It already brought them to 0. The 60 wasn't necessary, my man. It wasn't necessary, but all 3 of these birds have 0 armor. There's plenty of Wolf Rats and Storm Vermin and everything to just drag them down. And I think that will be a Skaven victory. I think? Man, these birds are hard to finish off. They haven't even gotten their rebirth heals yet. If they get rebirth heals, that would be really bad for the Skaven. Greyseer is going to tear her out. Balance of Power is going into Army Losses mode, but the Lord is routing. That's a Clan Rat summon. I don't know. I think the Balance of Power is full of shit on this one. If either of these Phoenixes can get a rebirth real quick, that would definitely help them stay in this game Balance of Power-wise, but I think the Balance of Power is being really stupid at the moment. I think the Skaven are in real trouble. Because, like, these birds aren't breaking. If they break, quote-unquote, it's just because of army losses. Archmage getting real low, but she does rout off the dogs that came to fight with her. These Phoenixes hanging out. Balance of Power is getting real bad for the High Elves. Army losses hits, but one of the Phoenixes gets its healing, and with the healing, oh, one of the Phoenixes gets its healing, holds off the army losses. Army losses was hitting. You all saw it. You all saw it. And that rebirth from the Phoenix just held things together, but it looks like it's going to rout anyway. The Life Caster is also going to have to get back into the sky, which will mean the Greyseer can come back, and that'll probably be army losses for real this time. With the Greyseer back in the fight, there is army losses yet again. Damn. GG. Part of me hates bird models currently. They feel very weird. Like when you're surrounded by stuff, they'll just take no damage, but I don't think they're OP, I just think they're weird. Greyseer did really well. He's not going to get a ton of value, but he was very supportive. Storm Vermin cleared out a lot of High Elves. Eshin Triads did fine. Clan Rats did, well, yeah, they did well. Skaven Slaves did fine. Doom Flayers did mixed. Dogs did quite well, and Night Runners did nicely. On the other side, for Tulkas, 2,500 on his caster, very nice. Phoenixes both got about 1k, which not quite paying for themselves, but they did a lot of work. Rangers, Law Seaguard, Leon Reavers, anything that was multi-entity modeled, really not doing too much for the High Elves versus Skaven. And that is a GG. Roar! Subscribe, yes, yes.